In this video, we are going to see how we can use a set in a calculation. And in this visualization, all I want to do is create a table. So it's a simple visualization that shows what the expected loss might be from, in this case, the Gulf Coast states because of some impending storm. So what I'm going to do is use the Gulf Coast states in oops, I don't want that actually. I want that in details. I want the states. Where am I? I want states in my rows. I only want to see actually the Gulf Coast states, so let's filter that. So those are my Gulf Coast states. We know what their sales are. I'll go ahead and put them up just real quick so you can see what we're trying to do. But that's what their sales are. So let's create the calculated field, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an assumption, and the assumption I'm going to make, just to use in the calculation, is that as a result of the storm, sales are going to be down 50%. Okay, whether that's true or not, who knows? Realistic, who knows? But let's just create this calculated field. So we should know how to create calculated fields. There's many ways to do it. I'm just using the drop down. I'm clicking on create calculated field, and I'm going to name this storm loss. Okay, just storm loss. That's all we need. So we're going to create an if statement, and the if statement is going to compare whether something is in the set or out of the set. In this case, the set that we're looking at is Gulf Coast states. Now, I want to point out that I'm going to have to make a modification for this to be valid, but I'm going to do it the way I think we all would normally think, and then explain the modification to get this to work. So if it's a Gulf Coast state, then what I want it to do is simply take sales and multiply it by 50, right? So we're going to assume we have 50% of our sales, and then end. Now I'm going to get an error, and the error is saying I can't mix. So I'm aggregating something here, but I'm not aggregating it there, and you can't mix aggregate and non-aggregate aggregates in an if statement. So all I'm going to do is aggregate this. Remember, this is Boolean, true, false, yes, no, 1, 0. So I'm just going to say I want the minimum, right? And it's not going to have any effect, but it's going to aggregate it and turn this into a valid statement. Now, had this whatever the then part, if it wasn't a calculation like we've got right here, but if instead it was the result of something like customer name or segment or state, right? The result of a dimension that we weren't doing any aggregation with, you wouldn't have to do this. So I just want you to understand that. Now I'm going to click OK. Okay, so now that we've created our storm loss, actually what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to double click on measure values so that we get the headings. Then I'm going to add storm loss and drag storm loss down, and now we have what our sales are, what our expected storm loss is, and now we have, I guess what the other thing I could do is I could add in some totals just so we could see what the overall storm loss total is. And again, at this point, it's a fairly simple visualization. It's just this table to let anyone doing this analysis know, assuming, right, let's do this, assuming 50% loss from storm on sales. Okay, so now someone looking at this will understand exactly what's going on with these Gulf Coast states. So that's an example of using a set in a calculation. And all calculations involving sets revolve around that same structure. If something's in the set, do something. If not, do something else. In this case, we didn't do something else because we were just computing losses for those states that are in the set, in the Gulf Coast states.